Good morning, Instagram. Happy Monday. It is a Money Monday. It is Money Mentoring over coffee. Had my coffee already, but I am just getting ready to get everything live here on Zoom. Also, we are live on YouTube and and all of that. Um, so good to have y'all here. Let me just get everything started. All right. Let me know that you can hear me. Let me know where you're coming in from. So good. I've got you all up here. I see Abby's in the house. Look at that. It's so good to have you here, Abby. I hope you are doing well, and that little little one of yours is doing well. So, Missy, so good to have you on Zoom. You know what? I I messed up. It was such a crazy. Jersey's in the house. Um, it was such a crazy weekend. I didn't send a reminder email out for this, so this was like spur of the moment. I put it up and everything. So people are slowly coming in and everything. So, um, hey y'all, those of you that haven't been here before, this is my Money Mondays, my money mentoring over coffee. I had my coffee already because I took Bruno for a walk and we went and got coffee and everything. And so, if you haven't watched my Instagram or any of that stuff, you probably know that I have we have a new puppy, 11-week old, little Samson. Um, he might he might get renamed to Chaos. I don't know. Uh, it's just been like, oh my God, full on, nonstop, relentless, very different than personality than Budo, but it is so much fun to have him here. He's and the two of them get along great. They play a lot. They get along great. So it's kind of cool. That was one of the reasons we got them to just kind of keep them busy and everything. So good to have you all here and everything. So Abby is signed up for my next webinar, which is Wednesday, y'all. If you haven't been, I'm doing a free workshop called Effortless Wealth on Wednesday. I'm doing one in the morning, one in the afternoon. Um, if you want to join, I'm going to talk about the myths that are holding us back from the money game. Give you the 8 steps of how to invest, how to create. Here's the thing: I don't normally do investing types of workshops. It's mostly more money management because investing is one little piece of it, and we think that when we learn to invest, we've got the whole dynamic of financial freedom and money. It's much more than that. In fact, hold on. I should have I should have been more prepared for this, but these are but clearly I'm new at this game. So it's part of why I'm doing the book. Okay, those of you that don't know that I've got a book coming out June 11th. Um, June 11th, and yeah, definitely yin and yang as far as the puppies go. And so, but this is, oh, Abby saw the Batman chair. Yeah, I got a Batman chair. Dark Knight. Not because I'm a gamer. I'm not a gamer. I just needed a chair that went higher and everything, and so that's why I got it, and so it's really comfortable. But yeah, it's a Batman chair. But that Wednesdays training is going to be me breaking it down, giving you some steps, giving you some of the breaking the myths, giving you the realities about that. Totally free. If you are on my Facebook page or on Instagram, you can type in the word effortless, and we'll send you the link to grab a spot. If you're not, you can go to melabraham.com/effortless and register for it. Like I said, it's free. I'm doing it on Wednesday. Thanks, Abby. Look forward to seeing you. So Wednesday, I'm doing one at 9 a.m. Pacific time and 5 p.m. So I'm doing I'm bookmarking the day, beginning and end with it. So hopefully that one of those times can work. And everything. And if not, make sure you're registered because we may push out a replay for it too. you never know if the recordings come out good and all that stuff. So, effortless. Chad is in the house. So good to have you here, Chad. Cypress, Texas. There's a Cypress, California. It's where my sister lives. But all right, so here's the deal. I want to talk about a couple things. I want to answer your questions. That's what this is about. It's about for us to have a safe zone to talk money, to talk wealth, to talk riches, talk about life, talk about business, help you out. I see my good friend Scott is on. He is like one of my oldest friends from high school. We're still friends. A lot less hair, but still friends. So, and so today, y'all in the U.S. is tax day. Oh man, did I have to write some checks? And so if you haven't filed your taxes, they are due today. And if it is one of those that you're sitting back and saying, I'm gonna do an extension, just so you know, an extension is an extension to file the forms. It is not an extension to pay. So make sure that when you file the extension, you're paying some estimate of the tax and everything to make that happen. So that's what we've got. That's the big day today, April 15th. Always fun. In California too, April is the month April's our tax month. It's also our real estate tax month. It becomes an expensive month in general to do that. The market today, it's kind of interesting. We had all the craziness, unfortunately over the weekend in the Middle East that caused some volatility. They say it's pretty much done right now. We're watching the market go up a bit. On that, there's still some stocks like Tesla's down $6 earlier today. It's almost 4% today. So, stocks are all over the board. We are going into earnings season again, which means that, and this week, as far as earnings go, I think we have mostly banks and financial stocks. So, but they give you an indication of what's going on out there. And why do we listen to why do we want to know the earnings? Earnings is earnings season is when companies, if you don't know, what they do is every quarter they issue a financial statement. And if it's a publicly traded company, they have to file it with the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC. They file what's called a 10Q. So you can always see their financials because the stock market they're trying to have transparency and full disclosure so an investor can make a decision about whether they want to invest in a company or not. And so they file these earnings statements basically quarterly, and then they do the annual report at the end of the year. The other thing that they do, there's other things that they do with this, and I think this is where you start to, if you want to get in the financial game and just start to understand it. Not that you want to be an expert, but you want to understand how this is done and what's going on out there. They will typically do an earnings call, and if you are unsure about when they do their call, you can just actually type in say Tesla earnings call, and they'll give it to you. Tesla's earnings call, this is going to be next week on the 23rd is when they release earnings. Why is that important? Because here's what they're going to do. They're going to send the financials out, but then they're on the call, they're going to talk about the financials. They're going to talk about what happened in the last quarter. They're going to talk about the issues. It'll be interesting with Tesla because they missed deliveries big time, probably the biggest in a long time. So we'll see how they go, because the second thing they do on these earnings calls, in most cases, sometimes they don't want to do that, is they give something called guidance. And guidance is when they sit back and say, here's what we anticipate is going to happen for the rest of the year, and here's why. And the important thing around that is the fact that you are getting some higher level perspective of what they see is going on in their business and in the marketplace. Interest rates are having an impact, supply is having an impact, Demand is an issue. We have deliveries down. What caused it? Because from that, you might be able to extrapolate and say what else is going on in these industries, and am I positioned right to take advantage of any opportunities, or to defend against any potential downfalls. So I like earnings season. Here's the challenge with earnings season is it creates a bit of volatility. So you're going to watch that, like for instance, when I'm just looking at the Tesla chart. So when they announced earnings, when they did their earnings last January 24th was when they did earnings, their stock price went from 211 down to 182. Wasn't very good. Okay. 211 to 182. Now you look at other companies where they will go the other way. So you could see some huge jumps in stock price depending on what happens on during earnings season and earnings calls. So those are the things that I just be aware of where we're at. I like to start the calls with, hey, here's what I see, what's going on. Here's the things to be aware of. Here's the things to consider. So let's talk. Let's look at some of the questions that are coming in. Earnings going to be rough for Tesla. Jason says, hey, Jason, it's so good to have you here. 10 to 15% headcount cut. So it's going to be an interesting call to see what happens. I think they're going to, it's going to be a tough one. Off topic, but where can you find the entity number on a return? Sorry, but this needs to do this for the business entity number. It depends on Debbie. This is you, Debbie. Are you talking about the California entity number? It's usually on the first page, but sometimes there isn't an entity number. It comes from if it's a California entity, it's coming from the state of California. So you might have to log into the state of California site and see what the entity number is, and it should be on your documents. So, cool. All right. Let's look at some questions that have come in on the hotline. If you have questions, you can post them here. I'm looking at trying to share this with. Okay. I'm looking at my other avoiding. Now this is a question that came in from a Facebook user. I don't know who it is. It says avoiding $650 in penalty fees for being on time. If you're on time, why did we get penalty fees? Give me a little more details. Let me see if I can guide you. But the other reason, so why do you get penalties on your taxes? There's a couple of reasons you can get penalties on taxes. One, late filing. Don't file late. Simple as that. Two, if you have an invalid extension, in other words, you file an extension, you owe a lot of money and you didn't pay money, then they could invalidate the extension and therefore you filed late, therefore there's a penalty. Three, if you underpay your estimated taxes, okay, there's a process to pay estimated taxes. Now there's a way to make sure that you're penalty proof. In other words, they can't charge you. But what happens is they look at what your last year's tax bill was, and if you don't pay enough of taxes in for this year based on last year's tax bill, they're going to hit you with an underestimate penalty that could be substantial if your taxes are substantial. So, so it could be. I don't know who this is that posted the question. Depends on what the penalty's for. If you filed on time, then it's not a late filing penalty. It could be an underestimate penalty. That means that you didn't pay on time your estimated taxes over the year. So I'm not sure if that answered the question, but let me know. I'm going to pull up some of the other questions that come in. Now, I get these questions a fair amount about, hey, where should I invest? Is it a good time to invest? So, and one of the questions that I got was, I've got an additional $10,000. I'm concerned the market's up high. Is it a good time to invest? So here's the thinking behind it. You're not going to win the wealth game if you're in the stands or on the sidelines. You've got to get in the game to win the game. You got to be playing to get in to win the game. And if we're not playing the game, there's no chance of winning. Um, there's something that I call the wealth flatline. And the wealth flatline, everyone has to pass through. And the only way to pass through it is time. Your curve for wealth is like a hockey stick. For those of you that are on YouTube and on other than Instagram, you'll be able to see this. But the wealth flat line, your wealth curve looks like this. The challenge is that the wealth flat line is here at the bottom when you first investing. And the challenge is this, is that during that time is when most people destroy their wealth. Here's why. Is that you're investing money and you're putting money away. You're listening to this guy, Mel, who says, just get in the game, just get in the game, just get in the game. And I tell you to start investing and you're putting money away. You're putting $100 away, $1,000 away. And you're sitting back and saying, well, wait a second. It didn't really move after 4 or 5 years. No, because your wealth is built over a period of time, okay? And at the very beginning, you don't have money momentum. At the very beginning, what you're doing is you're compressing a spring. You're compressing a spring. You're compressing a spring. You're compressing a spring. And the challenge is you don't want to let that pressure off, because after a number of years, and it depends on how much you're putting in and the rates of return, what happens is the curve starts to go up, but it starts to go up at an accelerated rate. This is the zone that I call the acceleration zone up here. And this is where your money really starts to drive the wealth. And what we need to do is make sure that you're in the game to make that happen. Now, if you're concerned that we have too much, loftiness in the market and that we might have a correction, then instead of putting a whole $10,000 in, you can do something called dollar cost averaging. That you could turn around and say, I'm going to put $1,000 in every month for the next 10 months. Now, if the market goes up, you'll buy a little more expensive. If the market goes down, you'll buy a little cheaper. On average, it'll average out. It's something that we tend to do, is that if we're constantly buying, okay, I'm constantly going in the market, and my team knows that every month we buy. Every month we buy. No matter where the market's at, we're buying. Now, if the market drops, let's say we get a 20% drop, I don't freak out going, oh gosh, we're going to lose it all. I get excited because I go, Nordstrom's is having a sale. Let's go in and get some stuff. All right. And that's the thing that we'll do, is we'll double down on down days to make it happen. But the fact is that if I have 10,000, or if I have money and you're in a position to invest, then you could do a dollar cost averaging strategy, do it over, a handful of months, 10 months or so, and get yourself in the game, but get yourself on the wealth creation curve. Now, I said, if you're ready to invest, let me be really clear. If you have a ton of credit card debt and you're struggling to pay those down, you got to be in a position to invest. It's why we follow something called the Wealth Priority Ladder. It's something I write about in my upcoming book, Building Your Money Machine, which you can, by the way, pre-order right now. So you can pre-order it right now, but it doesn't come out till June. However, I give you some special free trainings and stuff if you pre-order, okay, as a gift and as a thank you. So and in order to pre-order, I might as well put it out there, yourmoneymachinebook.com. Go there and pre-order. But the bottom line is this, is that I want you, just like a recipe for baking a cake. Now, y'all don't bake. I eat, but I don't bake. I don't know how to bake. But I do know enough to say that if we don't have the right ingredients, in the right order, in the right measurements, the cake ain't coming out good. Okay? So the important at that point, now you sit back and say, okay, how do you do this? Building wealth is a recipe, just like a cake. You need to know the right ingredients, you need to know the right amounts, and you need to know the right time to put it in. The wealth priority ladder gives that to you. And so the thing is that we walk through a, a foundational element of this. I think that we need to make sure that we're safe first, growth later. So what I want to do is make sure that we've taken care of our bills. We know that we've got a plan in place. So we know what our lifestyle is. We do all of that. It's all written in the book and all my trainings and stuff. But point being is that if you're drowning in debt, then and you come into $10,000, the place to put it is probably not investment. Now I don't know what your situation is, and without that, I can't give specific advice. But I can tell you this: if you're paying 28 or 30% on credit card debt, putting it in the stock market and putting it in investment is likely not going to make 30%. You're probably better off getting that thing paid down. Right? So, that's Sarah Jeans. So that's who that Facebook user is. Yeah, I believe it's underpayment penalty. It's probably what it is. Yeah, you've got to give, why your name's not coming up is you've got to give Restream permission to put your name, to show your name for privacy reasons, I guess. So let me give you something on this. I don't know if it'll apply to you, sir, but there is something called an annualization calculation for your estimated taxes. If, for instance, you had a big windfall towards the end of the year, then you can show that you had the big windfall at the end of the year, and therefore the taxes weren't due equally through the year. So there is a way to reduce it. Likely not a way to eliminate it because it's just a mathematical calculation. But that's probably what it is. If you filed on time, then it's probably just underpayment. Yeah. Okay. Good. Good. All right. Other questions? I got so we're in the heat of promotion for the book right now. So I am in crazy time. I'm pretty much on lives from now till 4 o'clock. And again tomorrow. We got some big interviews coming. And then I'm on Wednesday. I have my master classes. And then Thursday I'm on a plane. I've got interviews in Arizona. So it's like, oh my God. We're really starting to ramp up, but it's fun. It's fun. And here's what's fun about it is that I know the lives that the book is going to change. I know the lives that things are going to shift. I believe that financial freedom is a birthright. I think that there's too much financial stress in our lives. There's a new study out by the American Psychological Association that says 72% of people say that they're stressed about money, and 22% say it's extreme stress. Well, it shouldn't be that way. If all we did is understood some simple principles, then we have the opportunity to start to alleviate that stress. And some people will think that more money is going to eliminate stress. It's not the case. More money may not eliminate stress. More money can actually create more stress if we're not careful about it. The fact of the matter is that we need to do money differently. We need to understand it. We need to be able to know how it works, how to get it to work for us instead of us working for it, and doing those kinds of things in that way to make that happen. And so I think that's the thing that we need to start to really kind of consider. And it's one of the reasons I wrote the book. The story behind the book is that I was doing a keynote speech in front of a couple thousand people, and then they asked me to stay on and do some Q&A, and the questions that came up just shined a light on the anxiousness, the angst, the fear, the anxiety around the their money. And that's what kind of was the thing that got me to sit back and say, I need to do the book. And so it's it's not something necessarily that I want to do, but it is something that I'm called to do. And that's where this is coming from. And it's going to change the way people do money, and hopefully it alleviates that stress and we can bring those percentages down. I can't do it single-handedly, but that's why I said I'm on a crusade, and I'm gonna recruit as many people to walk this path with me, and do this side by side as they're walking the path to financial freedom. That will shine the light for everyone else to make it happen. So cool. Maria says, I loved your debt breakthrough calculator. Thank you so much. There's more tools like that coming your way. If you have debt, this was something that I put together to help people that were trying to struggle. If you have credit card debt or any kind of debt and you want to figure out how do you get out of it, go to melabraham.com/no debt, and you will have an opportunity to download a short training in an Excel worksheet that will help you put all your debt in, payments, interest rates, figure out a payment plan. It will spread it all out for you. It'll tell you exactly what to pay when, and you can either pay it off the fastest or pay it off the easiest. One of the two ways, avalanche or snowball. But I walk you through all the training to make that happen. And everything. So Melissa's in the house from Vermont. I've never been to Vermont. I'm running in from Italy. Oh my gosh, tuning in from Italy. From Italy. Oh my God, where in Italy? I love Italy. So good. The other thing let me just go to another question that came in. For those of you that, if you have questions, you can type them in. I will answer them. If not, you can always go to askmelnow.com and ask your questions. But let me just see why it's not coming up. Here we are. Cool. Abby's on the crusade with me. Let's do this thing. It's going to be fun. This is a great question. I am Rome. I love Rome. I am going to be starting a new job. Almost double the salary that I made before. What are the things I should watch out for as we do this? Here's the thing. Anytime we come up with an additional amount of, call it money, that we, it's a windfall, increase in salary, all that. Here's the thing that we have to be careful of. And it's called lifestyle creep, okay, or lifestyle inflation, however you want to term it. Bottom line is that we expand our spending based upon our income, and then we wonder why at the end of the day we don't have any more income. We go, I have nothing. Where did it all go? And it's because we spent to our limits. The challenge is this, and I get it. When your income grows, you want your lifestyle to grow potentially too. The challenge is when we allow our lifestyle to grow, and don't take this wrong, mindlessly, without thought. And we feel like we have the money, so we're going to go spend the money, and then all of a sudden we don't have the money. We can't figure out why we don't have the money, and we have a challenge there. So the first thing to be aware of is spending habits. And this is the exact reason why we say, look, the first thing you want to do anytime we start to get into any money conversations is to make sure that you are clear on where you want to go with your money. What is that target? What is that number? What does your lifestyle look like? Not, and hear this really clearly, especially someone who's starting a new job, not what your career expectations say, not what your parents' expectations say, not what your siblings or society's expectations say. And here's what I mean by this. I came out of school with an accounting degree. I got my CPA license. I actually passed the CPA exam before I finished college. I went into a big firm, a big consulting firm in downtown Los Angeles. Within 3 weeks, I hated it. Hated it. I had no idea what I was getting myself into, but auditing wasn't what I wanted to do. The very first job they put me on, the very first job they put me on, it was in August of that year, was a company by the name of Bandini. So August, Los Angeles, 103 degrees. Bandini manufactures fertilizer. So here, my very first job out of college, I am inventorying mounds of steaming manure. And I'm going, this is not what I went to college for. The challenge is this. I got a degree for accounting. I took the CPA exam to be an accountant. And I went to the big firm to become an accountant, to build something. And the expectations were, you're going to follow a path. You're going to be a staff accountant, a junior accountant, a junior manager, a manager, a senior manager, a partner. You're going to go through the whole pathway. Here's your career trajectory for a decade. But I was miserable. And had I succumbed to the career expectations, I would have never made the choice to leave. This is no different than our spending. And we are so influenced by spending, by things like Instagram and marketing and media, that when we get more money in, we will tend to spend more and we will increase our lifestyle, even if it's not what we wanted to do, not what we intended to do. And so one of the things that I want you to do, the guy's name is Alan, is first off, before you do anything with this increase in income, is to ask yourself, what do you want your life to look like? And if you are married or going to be married, you have a partner in this game. Ask the partner, have the conversations, design the lifestyle you want. And if it is a tent in Montana or a yacht in Monaco or somewhere in between, as long as it is your life, you get to live your life and you allow that to be the thing that informs your spending, not the influences of the media, the marketing, social media, what you see out there and everything else, because that's when we tend to mindlessly spend. That's how I ended up with a $900 copy. Because we start to do things that maybe we normally wouldn't do because of influences. And marketers know this. So one of the biggest risks is lifestyle inflation, lifestyle creep. But I'm okay with saying, hey, we have 3 kids. We need a bigger home. I got more income. Maybe we should buy the bigger home. Okay. But if it is, I'm just going to buy a bigger home because I got more income, why? We had a home that was really big, and we ended up selling it because it's just Stephanie and I. And now we got 2 dogs, but it's just Stephanie and I. Why do we need that? And so live true to what you want your life to be, and that will keep you from overspending or expanding your lifestyle to sit back and go, it doesn't even bring us joy. So define your lifestyle, 1, which then define your sustainable joy points. Number 2, what are the things, the 2 or 3 things in your life that bring long-term joy to you? Not momentary, not fleeting, not in an instant. That is something that brings you long-term joy. That's sustainable. My wife and I love to travel. We just booked a trip to Budapest and Vienna. Okay, we love to travel. And when we travel, we don't travel necessarily cheap. Okay, but We know that that's one of the joys because we create memories together. We spend time together. It is one of the things that we love doing, so we know that is at the top of the list. And so, what I want you to do is figure out what those two or three joy points are in your life, because you want to put those in from a spending standpoint as best you can. Because here's what I know: if you do not enjoy the road to financial freedom, you will not enjoy the time in financial freedom. Okay, so we have to enjoy the road to it, but the way you do it is to make sure that what you're spending on is bringing you joy in a sustainable way. So that's number two. Number three, I believe that everyone should operate from a cash resource plan. Yeah, some people might call it a budget. Here's what I call it: cash resource plan. I deliberately decide what every dollar is going to do in my life before I ever get it. You would not hire employees and not give them a job description, not give them roles, not give them goals, not give them tasks. You hire a group of employees with that in mind, and you give them the pathway to make it happen. But we don't do that with our money. We tend to sit back and not do it with our money. Well, when you decide up front, before you ever earn the dollars, this is the amount that's going to a mortgage. This is the amount that's going towards fun, travel, a wedding, home remodel, whatever, down payment. You create it up front, then there is no question. Emotions are wiped out, because when our emotions go up on financial choices, our intellect goes down. How I got into the Ponzi scheme? Emotions went up, I went straight to stupid. Okay? And all that stuff. So, Melissa, so good to see you enjoy the gelato. I love gelato. So, and so what we wanted. So those are the first three things I would do. Is I would make sure that you're clear on your career path and what you want for your life. You're two, that you know what your joy points are, and three, you're operating from a cash resource plan. Then four, the last thing I would do is this: when your income increases, I want you to make sure that you're increasing your investing proportionately. Remember, on the wealth priority letter, I want people to start investing 20 to 25% of their income. Okay, and the tendency is that when we get a raise, we're not doing it on a percentage. If I was putting away $500 a check, and you now get a raise, you're still putting away $500 a check. That $500 needs to grow with your income. So if my income goes up, my investing goes up proportionally. And here's one of the reasons why. I need to build probably a bigger pie, because my lifestyle is going to expand slightly. And when it comes down to when I want to retire or decide I don't want to have to be tied to my efforts, I need to be able to fund a larger lifestyle. And that lower level, it doesn't do it. So making sure that you are increasing incrementally your investing along with your income becomes really important. Those are the things that I would do in this situation at the very beginning. And then there's some very more specific things depending on what the incomes are, whether you apply it to, whether you can go to a Roth IRA, 401k, what HSA. Those things are more specific to you that I don't have the information to answer, but hopefully this helps you understand that. Okay. What a great question. All right, so here's another question, interesting question, and I might be a little bit of a hot take on it, y'all. So bear with me and let me answer this. So, my kids are going to be going to college shortly. Is it realistic for me to pay for their college while at the same time having to pay off my $132,000 of student loans? All right. So now I don't know what age your kids are. If they're going to college next year, you might have like a lot of flexibility. But if they're going to college in a decade, then you have some flexibility. Here's the hot take. I don't think that it is your responsibility to fund your kids' college alone. I don't. Here's why. I think that you have a much greater responsibility to funding your financial future before their college. I get that you want them to have a college education, you want them to have the best and all that stuff. But the greatest gift you can give your children is the gift of financial independence. In other words, get them to be responsible with money, get them to be responsible for some things. And the second greatest gift that you can give your children is your financial independence. And if they're financially independent and you are financially independent, guess what? Y'all ain't knocking on each other's doors to sleep on the couch because you ran out of money. Here's what we know. College, yes, is expensive, but there's multiple ways to pay for college. Not talking about student loans, scholarships, grants, community college, work programs, all kinds of things to pay for college. We can also get access to having conversations with them early on and saying, if you want to go to a school, you have to participate in the journey. That means getting good grades. That means athletic scholarships, academic scholarships, to put them in a position to do it. Because I don't want them or you going into debt to pay for their school. That's one. Two, if they can't afford 4 years at the school, maybe what we do is we go to a community college in 2 years. Three, they can work during college. I get it. I worked during college. So there's multiple ways to take care of it. Now, you could do student loans. I don't like it. But here's my rule of student loans. When you take a loan out for your college, it is an investment in your future. Just like any other investment, there must be an ROI. There must be a return on investment. So if I'm going to invest $100,000 in an education, the return on that investment needs to be a salary that far exceeds that when I get out. And the challenge is I go and take on $150,000 in student loan debt to get a job that pays $25,000. And I know someone that did that. And they whined and complained at a dinner that I was at. And I looked at them and I said, you knew exactly what you were getting into. You want to go get a master's degree, PhD in art history, you're not going to get paid for it. And then you go finance it with debt. I mean, I guess I was a little rough on him, but that's okay. But you're going to go spend $150,000 on an education that gets you a $25,000 wage. You ain't getting out from under it, not for a long time. Okay. So my rule when it comes to student loan debt is that max 18 months. 18 months. So you don't take on any student loan debt beyond beyond 18 months of your starting salary. So his starting salary was $25,000. Then he should have only taken on about $35,000, $37,000 in student loan debt to give him the opportunity to get out of debt and then not carrying it for so long. But now he's buried himself. Okay? So you don't have the obligation to put them through school. There's a lot of ways to pay for it. But here's why this is so important. They may or may not go to college. They may or may not finish college. They may go to a trade school. They may go other things. But the one thing we do know is coming is your financial future. Your financial future is coming. You're going to retire. You're going to stop working. You're going to want to stop working. You want to enjoy the fruits of your labor. You're going to want to enjoy the golden years. And there are not the alternatives to pay for it. You cannot go get a loan to finance your retirement. The only thing you have to finance your retirement is if is Social Security, and Lord knows don't depend on that. A pension, if you happen to be fortunate enough to work for a company or a government entity or something that pays a pension, which is a lifetime income, or your investments. You created your own pension, or you built the money machine, which is exactly what we're talking about here, to do it in a way that funds you. Because the alternative, if you have not built your retirement properly because you funded a college for your children, is government assistance or your kids assisting you. Neither one of those sound appealing to me. Okay? Well, I got ballooned. Um, so my point is this, and I know that I kind of went circular on this, is that you're not required to fund your children's college. I want to take that burden off your back. Now, do we want them to go to college? Yes. Do we want them to get an education? Yes. Maybe, whatever it is. I want them to live their dreams, but they have to participate. They can't just sit back. And Lord knows I'm not going to sit back with a child who says, I want to go to, I'm picking on Clemson, only because my nieces and nephews went to Clemson, and their mascot's a tiger, and they go, oh, now that's not what they said. They're amazing students. They do really well, but Clemson's a tiger, and they go, I want to go because I love the mascot. Y'all, you don't go to a college for a mascot. You go to college for college. And so if they're going to go to a college, it needs to be for a specific reason, specific education. They need to be responsible, and they need to participate. They don't get a chance to go sit back and go and have you do all the work for them, because that's just not the way life is. They need to do a little bit of work themselves. It's why I believe in doing things with your kids where you're matching them. So like when my son first wanted to buy his first car, I said, that's great, I'll match your down payment. So he had skin in the game. If he didn't come up with anything, then he got nothing from me. If he came up with $100, he got $100. If he came up with 2,000, he got 2,000. I matched it, but it forced him to be responsible and take responsibility to do it. And I think we need to do the same thing with college education, and we need to fund the certainty of your retirement before we fund the uncertainty of their college. So, roundabout way, to sit back and say, I think you need to have a conversation with your kids, be really clear on the situation, the college that they're trying to go to, how it's going to be funded, their participation and responsibility in it. And the last thing you ever want to do, if you're sitting on $132,000 in student loan debt from your college days, is to strap yourself with additional student loans on top of for them on top of yours. So, long way to say, be careful. Okay. All right. Hope that helped. I don't know. Hope that served. It's a hot take. A lot of people don't agree, may not agree with that perspective, but I'm watching. We've got $1.7 trillion in student loan debt today, and I'm watching these folks. And look, I blame the financial aid offices on this thing. They are taking 18-year-old kids that don't understand money because they refuse to put education systems in around money and finances, signing on a dotted line without understanding the obligation and how it's going to affect their life. I think it's irresponsible. And what they should do, if they're going to do any kind of student loan forgiveness, is go back to the institutions and their endowments and say, we'll take it from your coffers, not the taxpayers and not the people that paid it. I don't know. You got me on a soapbox here because it's not the kids' fault. It's the system's fault in some senses, because they didn't know any better. No one talked to them. No one taught them. And financial aid offices have a conflict of interest, because the more students they get in, the better it is for them. So I think it's an issue that we need to deal with. And these poor 17, 18-year-old, 19-year-old kids that don't understand are getting put to sign on the dotted line, and they don't realize what they're doing is they're putting an albatross around their neck, and they say, don't worry about it, you'll pay for it later, 6 months after you're out of college. But all of a sudden, they got this ball and chain around their neck, and they're staring at 200,000, 100. There was a guy that I heard on another talk show. He had $295,000 in student loan debt. $295,000. Why? Because he went to med school, but he didn't pass the boards 3 times, and so they basically booted him. So he's saddled with 300 grand in debt, and not the salary he expected to pay for it. It's a challenge. All right. You got me all heated over here. I'm sorry. All good. Other questions? Man. Let's see. So much we should. How can we get your book before June 11th? Grace, unfortunately, so here's the deal. You can't. The publisher won't. It's not out till the 11th. But when you pre-order it, I do send you digital. You will shortly get a digital version of the first couple chapters, so you can get started in it. But also you get the training around the book, and then I'll also invite you to be part of the launch team that I call the Machine Maniacs, the Money Machine Maniacs, where I'm doing special trainings just for them to do that. So even though the book doesn't come out till the 11th, there's a whole lot of benefits to being part of this journey that will go away on the 11th, but you can get access to it now. So where do you order it? Go to yourmoneymachinebook.com. Yourmoneymachinebook.com. Those of you that are on YouTube and all that, I just put it up on the screen. I can't do it here, but here it's yourmoneymachinebook.com. On Instagram, if you just type in a comment machine, it should send you the link too. So, and then make sure that to let people know you bought it, and we'll keep going. I've got so much planned in the next 60 days with you. Something that you guys can hear about here, but I have not said anything about it to anyone else yet, is we just added a summit called the Your Wealth Unleashed Summit. So I've got some speakers and stuff that are coming in for free for you guys that buy the book to make it happen. So that's going to be likely June 15th. So lots of stuff coming your way, because here's what I believe. I want to light your path to financial freedom. I am on a crusade to help 1 million families find that path. And I know I can't do it alone, but with all of you by my side, learning, having the conversation, spreading the word, doing things, I think that we can make it happen. I'm in fact even going to train some of you and give you a guide. I have a guide on how to run book clubs. So for the book. So it's a specific guide for the book club. So now you can bring your own folks in. And if you have a certain number of people in your book club, I will come in and speak at one of the sessions for you. So yeah, lots of things, because this is not about the book. This is about you. I truly believe that we should have no financial issues in our world. Then the first step is raising the education, raising the conversation, and being open to having a conversation, because money's not the bad thing. Money's just a tool. And so that's the game. All right, y'all. Other questions before we go? And then we'll do this again next week. Back live next week. Grace says, I love book clubs. Yeah, I got a whole... Hold on. I got a whole book club guide for y'all. Coming your way. Not only that, those of you that join the team also, guess what? I actually created an action guide for the book too. So you guys will be able to get that too. Um, I'm here for the long haul to try and help you out. Where can we see you in person? I am actually doing a fair amount of speaking coming up and everything. So I will be putting those out to make sure that you know um, when and where I'm speaking, and I would love to come around. We may or may not. I don't know. We may do a book tour after the book is out, where we start to stop in towns at bookstores and do that. So that might be fun too. I did get a question. Let's just see. That question. I've never done this before. Here's the question: if you have half of the money to pay credit card debts, should you use it to pay half of the debt, or use it in some kind of investment to get more money and then pay the credit card? So this is a great question, and in all likelihood, so first things first. In all likelihood, the credit card debt, the balances are sitting at a 25 to 30% interest rate. There's no investment that's going to pay you that doesn't take on a tremendous amount of risk. What I would have you do is to, one, if I have a lump sum to pay down credit cards, is I would actually have a conversation with them and say, here's the deal. I have the ability to pay you X dollars. If that Siri loves jumping into my conversations, um, and 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 I would negotiate with them and see if they're willing to accept a lump sum payment to extinguish the whole debt. Take If you've got it on multiple cards, you might want to take a couple of those cards and see if they'll take 70 cents on the dollar, pay that off. You may have another card left over, but you've got a 30% discount. And because you have the dollar amount, a lump sum dollar amount, you have more negotiating power with them and say, I want to pay this off, I want to clean it up, but I need your help with me. Um, you know, uh, this is the amount I have. And I did an episode on my show about how to negotiate with your credit cards. Go back to the Affluent Entrepreneur Show on YouTube and or on my podcast and listen to it, because that will help you do this. But you want to navigate it. Now, there's a couple things when you're dealing with credit card companies. You want to make sure that you get any deal you're doing in um, writing. Okay? Grace, will that ding your credit score? It depends. So in the negotiation, the question will be, that if they have not reported any, if you have no lates, then you're still fine. And in as part of the negotiation, you can make sure and say, will this get reported as a write-off? If all they're writing off is interest, then you have the ability to possibly get them not to report it. But it could, if you're not aware of it, they could report it as a write-off, and then it does affect your credit score. Great question. All right, y'all. So good to have y'all here. All right, I will be more diligent about making sure that I send out a reminder for next week and post it. Who did the writing deal me or the bank? Who does the writing the deal? Me or the bank? Now the bank. When you agree to terms on the credit card to write it off and say, can you send me something to document that will be the case? And if not, if they say no, can I send you something to document it that you will respond to? And because if it's not in writing, then it's not done. Because they could accept the payment and then say, well, you still owe the rest. So I want it in writing. And that's one of the requirements. And you tell them, look, I've got multiple credit cards. You're the first one that I called. If you don't want to do that, that's fine. I'll keep making the minimum payments for now. I'll take care of these other cards. And if I can get it paid off, then great. So Cool. All right. So I got a crazy week this week, but watch for the lives, watch for the posts, share my posts out. We're trying to get the word out. And I'll be live the next couple of days, and then I'm traveling and doing interviews, and then I'm back here Saturday, and we'll hit it again. All right, y'all. So good to be with you. Hang tough, do well. Let me know if there's anything I can do for you. Keep in touch, and I can't wait to see you on the next live or on the road. Talk soon.